Hi there, thanks for joining. We just made random data in my previous video, and now we are going to actually do a regression analysis on this data. Keep in mind this is totally random stuff, so this isn't accurate by any means. The person who got a 16 on their ACT did not actually get a 3.42. This is just randomly generated data, but it's going to help us, learn how to just do this regression analysis on the tool. Now, if you don't see this data analysis thing on your Excel, watch my other video. I have a tutorial on how to do that. Now we're going to do regression. It's already highlighted, so I'm just going to go ahead and press OK. Now the data that you want in the Y range, this is why I wanted to go ahead and just say all of these things about our Y, because the most important thing is that you truly understand which variable is your Y. Now I'm going to start at 5 and I'm going to go Shift Control all the way down. Don't press it twice because it'll go all the way down. But if you do, just hit up and then it'll figure out, oh, you just want it to here. And we see the same thing over here. It's always a good idea to kind of get an idea about when your data ends, so you can be like, okay, yeah, that's 35. If you have like a bunch of data, this is harder to do. That's okay. Now, B1 to B31, this is already partially filled out. So I'm just going to go, okay, you can go to B5, and you can end, and if you try to hit the arrow, it'll freak out. If you're ever lost in Excel, just press escape. But I'm going to go, okay, calm down, go to B5, and then I'm going to click this so that it doesn't freak out again. I'm going to go to B35. And you can put a dollar sign in here. You don't have to. All the dollar sign does is tell Excel if you pick up on a pattern, don't do anything, just stay right there. Stay at this 35, stay at this B, stay at this 5, etc. Because I included in this thing labels, which I'm just like, okay, just this is the label, then you need this to have a little check mark next to it. I do want the confidence intervals, and I want the output range to be right here, so I'm going to go D1. If you have a bunch of data, it might make more sense to just put it in a brand new worksheet, and then you would do this. Or you would do this rather, or maybe you want it in an entire new workbook, which is kind of like doing file new over here. Now, I do want the residuals, I do want the residual plots. Standardized residuals is usually a good idea, but I'm going to ignore that for now because we're going to keep it simple. Also, this is random data, so it's not going to be by any means helpful in terms of like predicting what an ACT score is going to be based on GPA. And I do want the normal probability plot. This is my normal probability plot. This is my residual plot. You want the residuals, pretend there's like a line going through here. This is okay. We want something linear. We want something independent. We want all of these points to be independent. Like there's no pattern really going on, which we used completely random data to get this, so there shouldn't be a pattern, but if there were, that'd be super weird. And we also want our data to be normal. We don't want these waves that we see, but for now that's okay. And what we also want about our residuals, and notice that Excel spit it out here, I always like to double click these things so that we can see everything. It's probably also picking up that, you can't see all these things too, so we can go ahead and do that as well. Double click, double click, double click. Okay. You also assume about your residuals, which, by the way, residual is just a fancy word for error. You want to assume that the sum of all residuals is approximately 0. Now, what this means, this E is kind of like scientific notation. So you have 7.81 times 10 to the negative 14, which basically means 0.0000000, etc. 781. So that's a very small number. We can say that this is essentially 0. So that's great. This number is very small, which means that this number is going to be very small. The reason being is, let's just check to verify, this divided by the total sum of squares is our r squared. It's not picking up on me clicking it, so I'm going to go ahead and actually click. And that's where this number comes from. And the reason why it's so small is probably because this is random data and it's, these have nothing to do with that. But in real life, we probably would have like a relatively larger R-squared because, maybe with a few exceptions, if you have a higher GPA, you're probably going to get a higher ACT score, something that looks like this. This is probably not really going to happen unless you're someone like my brother who doesn't really have a great GPA or does his homework ever, but miraculously gets an A+ on all his tests. Anyway, so these confidence intervals, I'm also going to explain how you do that in my later videos on Minitab. I'm going to explain how to do all these things on Minitab, in fact. So stay tuned for my other video. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Please subscribe.